Hey guys, I just wanted to come in and talk a little bit about some of the games that I am really excited to play this year in 2023. There's just such an incredible lineup. Of course, there are some major titles this year coming to all platforms. We've got stuff like Spider-Man 2 coming on the PS5 and eventually PC, I guess. We've got Xbox titles like Starfield and Redfall and Forza Motorsport that's coming out this year that everybody's really excited about, and I am looking forward to some of those to varying degrees depending on whether I have access to them or not. I guess most of this stuff I can play on PC because I do not have an Xbox console at this time. Not that I have anything against Xbox, it's just something I haven't bothered to get at this point. Of course, as so many of you know, my favorite platforms that get the most use each and every day in my house here are my Steam Deck and my Nintendo Switch. And so most of the stuff that I am excited for is stuff that is going to be compatible with those platforms, absolutely. So anyway, of course, talking about the Nintendo Switch, the big release for 2023 is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I can tell you right now, I am so excited for this game coming out in May. I've started playing Breath of the Wild again, and I've absolutely just been sucked right back in to Breath of the Wild. It's such a fantastic game. Maybe one of the best games I've ever played, to be honest. So my hype level right now for Tears of the Kingdom is just off the charts. I cannot wait to step back into this world and see what Nintendo has reimagined in this same world, in this same space. There's some hints that there's going to be some building mechanics and things like that. I'm not really sure about that, but there's some new powers, some new abilities, there's vehicles and things like that. We have whole other areas up in the sky to explore. So I'm really stoked for this, and this is probably my #1 game, or very darn close to it. There's only one other game coming out this year that I think might be even more interesting to me than Tears of the Kingdom, and that is the new Fantasy Life game. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. We don't have an exact release date on this as far as I know, but I'm kind of expecting it to come out in summer because it was showcased in the recent Nintendo Direct, which tends to, predict things that are coming in the first half of the year, by summer or something. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Now, Fantasy Life. Fantasy Life is something I have a huge history with. I absolutely loved the first game on the 3DS. I played it so many times. There are so many different ways to play this game. There are 12 different life paths. You choose whether you want to be like a soldier or a mercenary or a wizard, or you can choose non-combative life paths like being a cook or a woodcutter or a miner, so fisherman. So many different ways to get through the game, and each one of those ways has a lot of unique mechanics to it. You may have access to different weapons when you need them. You may have the ability to craft different things that you can use to upgrade other weapons. And then the really cool thing is you can switch halfway through the game and do something else that is complementary to your first path. So for example, if you wanted to be a soldier, a paladin, for example, you could switch to blacksmith later and learn how to upgrade your paladin weapons so that you can be more powerful out in the field. So just really fantastic, super deep game on the 3DS. It did have a sequel, Fantasy Life 2, on mobile, on phones, and I wasn't really pleased with that. I was kind of sad that I thought the series was going to be moving to mobile forever, and super excited to see that it came back to a Nintendo console. So I am really looking forward to that game this summer. Sorry, just looking down at my notes here. Something else that I'm excited for that I'm actually going to pick up today because it released today, and that is Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I absolutely loved the last Kirby game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, that was a 3D game, But Kirby's Return to Dreamland was from the Wii, and that is a 2D Kirby. Now, for those of you who know me, know that I am absolutely a sucker for 2D platformers. I absolutely love a quality 2D platformer, and that's exactly what Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is. And not only is it a remaster of a Wii game, but similar to what they did with Mario 3D World, they added a whole prologue to the game, a whole nother section of the game that is brand new and something for, fans of the series to experience for the first time. And I think that's great what Nintendo is doing with some of these older titles. So I have that pre-ordered. I'm going to GameStop to pick it up today, and I'm really excited to get into that over this weekend. Now, some of the stuff that is a little bit further down the road, Diablo 4. I'm a huge fan of Diablo. I absolutely love the heck out of Diablo 3 especially. I even played a fair bit of Diablo Immortal, which had all kinds of problems. People were pretty upset about the microtransactions and the economy in Diablo Immortal. But playing it on my iPad, I was pretty happy with the presentation. It looked great. The story was interesting. It played pretty darn well with touch controls. So, I'm really excited for Diablo 4. I think it looks like the visuals are going to be incredible. The gameplay is going to be, I'm sure, fantastic because Diablo never fails to disappoint. And then moving on to the Atelier series. It's going to be a good year for the Atelier series because we're getting not only Atelier Ryza 3, the Ryza series has pretty much put Atelier on the map. It's gone from being a very niche JRPG series to much closer to mainstream at this point. And the Ryza series has been fantastic. I absolutely loved Ryza 1 and 2, and really looking forward to 3 coming out this year. But in addition to that, they're also remaking and re-releasing Atelier Marie. Atelier Marie was a Japanese exclusive game that we never got here, and it was, I believe, the first game ever made in the Atelier series, and they've completely remade the game with new graphics and stuff. This game has had a few different permutations. It came out on the PS2, the Dreamcast, the Sega Saturn, different versions of the game, and the game that they're remaking is, what they consider to be the best version, combining all the features of some of the other original versions and then remaking all the graphics and everything. It looks adorable. I can't wait to check it out. So, okay, another series that is near and dear to my heart, Story of Seasons. Now, I absolutely love Harvest Moon Story of Seasons games. The farming genre in general is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life is a remake of a PS2 and I believe GameCube title that was originally Harvest Moon. Now, for those of you who don't understand what Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon, there was a name change. There was a change of the guard. The people who used to make Harvest Moon now make Story of Seasons games, and they don't have the license to the word Harvest Moon, but the games are exactly as you would expect them to be. I've been playing these games for a long time, and I absolutely love them. To see a remake of another beloved title a few years back at the beginning of the Switch's life, they did a remake of Friends of Mineral Town, which was a very popular game on the Game Boy Advance. That one did very well on the Switch. Then they came out with Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town, which is probably my personal favorite console farming game. Absolutely love it to death. And then this new one is looking to be just as wonderful as the name implies. My friend Josh is playing the Japanese version right now on his channel, and it looks fantastic, so very much looking forward to that. And then, what else have we got here? Etrian Odyssey. Now, here's a title from Atlas that I really didn't get into back in the day. I owned a couple of them on the DS, but never got around to playing them, and these are dungeon crawling RPGs that are notorious for being very difficult, as a lot of Atlas games are, which is what kind of dissuaded me from playing them at the time. I just didn't really want to get into something that was going to, drive me crazy with difficulty, right? So now they have released the first 3 games, they will be released on the Nintendo Switch coming up this summer, and they've introduced a whole bunch of quality of life features to make these games not only a little bit easier, but a little more pleasant. So with the Etrian Odyssey games, there's kind of twofold, you've got the game itself, but then you've got this whole exploration and cartography element where you actually had to use the DS stylus to draw out the maps as you explored them to figure out where you needed to go and how to get back and that sort of thing. And they've introduced an auto mapping feature, which I think is going to make the games a lot more accessible to the average Joe who's maybe really not into that depth of gameplay of, drawing out your maps and the cartography and that sort of thing. So not only have they introduced easy modes and things like that, but they've introduced this auto mapping feature, which I think is going to be fantastic just for making these games a little more accessible, because they have fantastic music, fantastic stories, really cool combat. It's just, a matter of them being stinking hard. So anyways, looking forward to that. I will definitely be picking up all 3 games. You can buy them together or individually as you please, but I'm going to buy the whole collection of 3. What else have I got on the list? Okay, another farming-ish game, Rune Factory 3. I absolutely loved Rune Factory 4 Special. I had Rune Factory 4 on the 3DS. I also bought the special version on the Switch. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic game. Rune Factory 5 came out recently, last year, or I guess it's been out for about a year and a half, something like that. Rune Factory 5 didn't click with me. I really didn't enjoy it as much as Rune Factory 4. I've never played Rune Factory 3, but they're now doing Rune Factory 3 Special, which is, an upgrade, a remaster or whatever on the Switch. I'm really excited to check that one out because it looks a lot more like the classic Rune Factory that we got with Rune Factory 4. I really felt like the graphics and the performance of Rune Factory 5 dragged the game down a lot in my estimation, and I'm really excited to go back to a more classic title. And then there's one more game on my list here that I know absolutely nothing about, but I do know that I will be buying it day one, and that is Tintin Reporter Cigar of the Pharaohs. A lot of you may not know who Tintin is. Tintin is a comic book character from the 1940s, the World War II era. In France and Belgium is where the character was drawn. He's had a long history in Europe, and I've been exposed to him here in Canada, especially because of our connections to, European settlers and that sort of thing. There was a big Tintin movie that was made back in the middle 2010s, I believe, or early 2010s. And there was a game that coincided with that movie on the Nintendo Wii, which was actually kind of a hidden gem. The Tintin game on the Wii, and I think it might have been on the PS3 as well, was actually really, really excellent. And I absolutely love this kind of boy detective sort of storyline. Cigar of the Pharaoh is actually one of the storylines from the comic books. And I'm very excited to see what they do with this. Now, there are no trailers that I'm aware of out there. There's no screenshots. There's very little information about this other than an announcement. Not even an announcement, really, just a listing that I found on GameSpot's website. So I'm really curious to learn more about this game, find out when it's going to be released, who's developing it. I'm kind of hoping it's being developed by Microids. Microids is a fantastic developer that does a lot of European stuff that they've been bringing over to North America, like the Asterix and Obelix games, for example, XXL 1, 2, and 3. They did that Smurfs Mission Vileaf last year or the year before. They do a lot of European stuff, so I'm kind of hoping, because they do a really good job as well, I'm kind of hoping that they're developing this, but I know literally nothing about this except for a title that I found on a website. So anyways, guys, what are you looking forward to coming up this year? Are you excited for something like Starfield or Redfall? Is Tears of the Kingdom your number one hype train at this point in time? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay classy.